Aren't you supposed to be helping me? Dad asked. It was Saturday morning. Dad was making popcorn for breakfast. You need help making popcorn? I asked. No, the motorcycle. I've almost got it running. I could use some help, though. And you need to do a service project, right? He had me there. Suddenly I was signed up for 2 service projects. I didn't tell Dad about the plan to clean our house. I figured Myron could do that. I just followed Dad outside. My job was to hold the motorcycle upright while Dad laid on his back and worked on the engine. Motorcycle mechanics, Dad said, tightening something with a wrench. Simple engineering when you think about it, but it all comes down to the rider. Uh-huh, I said. I looked around our yard. Everyone else in Dennis Acres had already cut their grass once or twice. We didn't have much grass. Our yard was mainly weeds, with piles here and there of dead car batteries, metal furniture, broken mowers, and rusty bikes. There were always 3 or 4 fat squirrels hanging around. It's all about balance, Benny, Dad was saying. Okay, I said, looking around for rats. I hated rats. Everything about them gave me the creeps, especially their scaly tails. Rats had taken over our root cellar, hoping to beat out the squirrels in the race for the stale popcorn. Dad sometimes threw out the front door. One night, a rat got in the house. It must have crawled through an open window. I heard Dad yelling at it to get out. From the way he was shouting, I thought it was a burglar. I stayed in my room until it was quiet. When I found Dad in the living room, he said everything was fine. Just a hungry rat, he'd said, closing the glass door on the cornucopia popcorn maker. He sent me back to bed for endless hours of rat nightmares while he stayed in the dark and jingly living room. Nights like those were when I missed Mom the most. My arms were getting tired. Are you almost done? When you're older, you're going to want to ride this thing, Dad said from under the motorcycle, so pay attention, learn how it works. The right hand is for acceleration. See that grip on your right? You twist it toward you to accelerate. If you want to brake, step on the right pedal. That's the rear wheel brake. The lever on the right handlebar operates the front brake. You've got to be careful with that one or you'll pitch yourself over the front of the bike. I turned my head and looked at our house. It still reminded me of a rotten egg, but now it looked like a rotten egg that had been left outside to decompose. The color had changed from yellow to green to gray. Dad had covered the windows with cardboard on the inside to prevent anyone from seeing what was in the house. The more crap he accumulated, the more paranoid he became of someone stealing it. It didn't make sense. None of it made sense. The phone was ringing inside. It might have been Mom. I wanted to go answer it, but Dad was still talking. The clutch is the lever just ahead of the left-hand grip. You need to pull that in when you shift gears with your left foot. Lift your foot up for first gear. Push down for all the other gears. It takes practice, but you'll get the hang of it. I looked up and saw Myron walking toward the house. He was wearing old clothes and carrying a pair of heavy work gloves. Ringo trotted alongside him. Hey, Benny, he called. Hey, Myron, I called back. Already I was nervous about this scene. Dad raised his head from under the motorcycle. He lifted his chin in greeting and then resumed his position under the bike. Nice ride, Myron said. Thanks, Dad grunted. Myron dived right in. So, Calvin, have you heard the news about this contest we won? It's crazy, I know, but folks from Washington will be here in a month, and everybody, well, I was just thinking it'd be a good excuse to pick up a bit around here inside and out. Nice day for it, too. Dad didn't answer, so Myron kept going. I mean, would you mind kind of, tidying up a little around, here? Myron laughed at his own sputtering. I'd be willing to help. I bet Benny would, too, right, Benny? Uh-huh, I said, staring at the motorcycle. This wasn't going well. Dad didn't respond, so Myron kept talking. Seriously, man, he said, you've got to clean up your act, and this would be a good time as any to do it. People in town are, talking about your place. Dad craned his neck sideways so he could see Myron. What do I care what anybody in Dennis Acres thinks about me? Everybody knows who I am and what my place looks like. But the people coming aren't from Dennis Acres, Myron put in quickly. They're from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. Dad was now squinting into the sun. What do I care what people who don't even know me think about me? Myron and I looked at each other and shrugged. You couldn't argue with my dad. He could get you coming and going. Well, Myron said, saluting, I said I'd try and I tried. Come on, Ringo. Oh, wait. Calvin, did you hear every household in town is going to get free computer? Pretty cool, eh? Dad made a sour face. I already have one. I know, Myron said, but now you'll have another. I hope you don't think I'm going to teach everybody in Dennis Acres how to operate a computer, Dad snarled. Because I'm not. I'll teach you and Benny, that's it. Myron smiled and nodded. Okay, see you guys later. An hour later, Miss Turnipson arrived. She was wearing one of her shorter skirts. Dad was sitting in the grass now, still working on the motorcycle. Well, if it isn't the summer boys, Miss Turnipson said, smiling like a cheerleader. Dad didn't say hello or even look at her. Mr. Summer, she began, I don't know if you've heard, but... I'm not putting on lipstick for your Chamber of Commerce friends, Dad said coldly without taking his eyes off the motorcycle. She laughed. We're not asking you to wear lipstick, just to clean up a little. And I'd be happy to put together a committee to help. If we spent just one day here, I bet we could get arrested for trespassing, Dad said flatly. Don't think I wouldn't do it. Mayor Roland Prell arrived by car later that afternoon. Dad was still tinkering with the motorcycle. We'll condemn it, Calvin, Mayor Prell said. He was a square-shaped man with a round pink face. We'll tear down the house, or we could burn it to the ground. That'd be cheaper, and it'd take care of the rats. You'd have to burn it with me in there, Dad said casually, nodding with his head toward our house. And that would be murder. I'd like to see you campaign some year from jail. Now that'd be interesting. Better than your usual Mayberry RFD-style campaign. A little folksy for my taste, Mayor. Mayor Prell blew out a big puff of air. Calvin Summer, why do you insist on being so difficult? I'd like to know. Tell me. Why? Dad just smiled. I'm not leaving until you give me an answer, Mayor Prell said. His pink face was turning red. Dad finally stood up. He stretched his arm lazily above his head and scratched his greasy hair with his long fingernails. Then he walked over to an old parking meter he'd found at the dump. It was leaning against our only tree. He looked at the parking meter as if he was studying it. I'm afraid to tell you, Mayor Prell, but your time here has expired. If you'd like to stay in my yard and chat longer, you'll have to deposit a quarter. Otherwise, I'm going to call Deputy Rodney and have you removed from my castle. Your castle? Mayor Prell asked. He practically spat out the word. A man's home is his castle, Dad replied, stroking his beard, and you're not welcome at my castle. Mayor Prell's car tires squealed down the street. Dad smiled a scary smile and walked over to the motorcycle. He threw a leg over the seat and kick-started the engine with his foot. With his right hand, he revved the engine loud. They wouldn't dare, Benny, Dad yelled over the roar. They wouldn't dare.